Well, Pacers fans, it was real. It is unfortunate. Our perennial run as the eighth seed powerhouse in the Eastern Conference has finally come to an end with the farewell of our beloved Paul George. Good old PG-13. Been traded to the Thunder for a good friend of mine, Sticky Vicky Oladipo, and Arvydas Sabonis' kid. The name escapes me right now. I think that says enough. I'll look it up here in a second. I have the documents. Guys, it's another Off the Bandwagon. I am, of course, Kev. I am riding the bench solo tonight. Sean B's trying on his producer's hat, so we'll give him a wave. He says hi. He misses you. He'll be on for a Raiders flavor sometime soon, you Marshawn Lynch and fellow bandwagon Raiders fans. Sean B is not a bandwagon's Raiders fan, but you probably are if you're listening. So back to the lecture at hand. The Pacers are done. First of all, this is kind of a garbage swap, this trade. For more reasons than just the farewell of Paul George. Is this a clear rebuild for the Pacers? They are chopping off heads left and right. It's like the French Revolution over there, but this trade was pretty shitty, if I'm being honest. I mean, considering the Pacers were stuck, Paul George really put them in a foxhole by saying, no matter what $75 million bonus I might get, I'm not staying. I'm out of here. Peace. So there really wasn't. They had to get something, and the Thunder knew they didn't have to give much up in return. So this whole thing, but it feels kind of like a wash. The Pacers Sabonis has some upside, I guess. Oladipo can't find the basket, so he's nothing but potential. I'm paraphrasing here what they say. Potential is a fancy way of saying you haven't done anything yet. So this team is just a hot pile of shit from a junkyard dog, honestly. Like, this is the kind of dog that eats trash all day would take this kind of dump. Adding to this steaming pile, we have the Pacers decided to waive Monte Ellis. I don't know. That's my official opinion on that. He was never consistent there anyway. He wanted to be a starter. He was better as a sixth man, but he didn't care. He wanted to be the starter. They could have stretched his deal out for 5 more years or cut him. So I see what they're doing here. Tanking is the new thing in the NBA, and you can no longer just ride around. They've been a perennial, like I said, 6 to 8 seed. They had those couple of years where they contested with the Heat, but then they woke up from that dream, and it's been back to reality. I blame all of this, by the way, on Ron Artest, and I refuse to call him Meta World Peace because he ran up and punched the wrong fan, and you can't just change your name and have people forget about that, bro. I won't stand for it. You ruined what could have been a Pacers dynasty that was as a perennial 3 to 4 seed. Okay, we could have at least had 1 round of home games every year, but no, you had to ruin it. You and Jamal Tinsley with all those strippers. Apparently, Indianapolis strippers are the way to go, though, because Colts players and Pacers players get in trouble. Good old Stack Jack remember Steven Jackson with the Pacers team. They were so good. Remember Reggie Miller, Rick Smits. This is what we've become today. We have George Niang on the team. This is what the starting 5 right now for the Indiana Pacers would be. Darren Collison at point guard, who I'll get to in a little bit, who's somehow part of this rebuild here in Indiana. Sticky Vicky at the 2 guard. Probably Lance the Dance Stevenson at the 3, maybe Glenn Robinson, or the recently added Bogdan Bogdanovic, who for some reason I think I got to look up the deal, but I don't. Again, this whole rebuild confuses me. I don't understand that signing. I know when we have Sean B back, he'll probably discuss that. I know that's his boy in 2K. I don't know if he's a real life fan. He just likes to wet that down. He thinks that dude's got a good jump shot in a video game. Which is, it's accurate. He can drop it. I'll let him defend himself when the time is right. But I'm not thrilled about this. I never trust a man with 2 first names.
You say my name there, motherfucker.
Oh,
what's up, dude?
You got? What do you think? Make me feel better about my terrible ass squad. Tell me something about Bogdan Bogdanovic.
All right, I'll lie to you real quick. Make you feel real good. Bogdanis and Ace, bro.
That's what she said.
He's
The first
Ace.
part.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I'm be real. I don't watch much of them in real life, but in the 2K15, in 2K15, that was my boy, bro.
In 15,
he was
though.
my comeback kid. Dog.
We're talking 2K18. Like I'm gonna be ashamed to use my own team in a video game.
Yeah,
There'll be a great rebuild, but it's not. You know,
I wish I could say I could relate to you, dude. But my Celtics is looking tough right now, dude.
Gordon Hayward's a
Looking
traitor.
tough.
He went with his coach instead of the state he played college in. I'm kidding. I would never go to Indiana.
No.
Even me, dude. I'd be like, nah.
I
LA's
don't
for
even
me.
like stopping in Indiana to take a piss. Like if I'm like traveling, I don't even like stopping at an Indiana rest stop to take a piss.
I don't blame you, man.
Because that's full of them motherfucking peanut grabbers, dude.
You get cornholed for real
Yeah.
in my home state.
Dude, I've read some stories.
Ain't no
man.
doubts about it. And while you're here, I got a follow up for you. What I had mentioned briefly before, but kind of got off topic because I'm really pissed, and I've been waiting like 5 days to talk about this. There's more things about this I'm mad at, but for the Thunder, this kind of feel like a wasted move to you. Like, granted, I think this only gets by because they have no faith in Oladipo, so they basically look at it as we dump some salary, we're getting rid of Sabonis. That kind of sucks, but at least now I think this was more of a move to keep Russell Westbrook happy because I think Paul George is going to go to LA in a year unless LeBron stays in Cleveland. But this team isn't good enough to beat the Warriors, or am I wrong? Do you think this was a good move by the Thunder, or was this just a move to make a move?
I wouldn't necessarily use the word good, but it wasn't terrible. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, why not go ahead and give Russell one more year of someone who's on his level of play or at least close to it, and while they keep building, you know what I mean? And this gives them a year to fill that 3 position, and then they can like have all year to look for prospects. You know, they might fuck around draft, you know, because they're probably going to suck this year. So,
Yeah.
I mean, probably. I mean, they made it to the playoffs with just Russell last year. So, I mean, they probably will make
They're
it
going to make
again.
the playoffs, yeah.
But
Paul's
I
going to
don't-
be in the same spot, though. He's going to be the 8th seed, 7th seed.
Yeah, but this is just to hold him over. I mean, the way it feels to me, like, it almost feels like he was leaving regardless. They had to get him out of there. He's probably becoming a cancer.
Oh, definitely.
So he was like, you know, they had to get him out of there ASAP. So he's just kind of kicking it this year. I don't really see him. He knows he's still going to LA. He's going to give that team all he can because probably out of respect for Russell. You know what I'm saying? They'll probably play well, but I don't know. I don't know what OKC was thinking, man.
So
Maybe it was just kind of like, hey, we might as well get him for that 1 year. He's not a Laker. You know, might as well.
yeah.
Somebody was going to get him. So, I mean, they're like, fuck it, let's just get him for a year. Let's rent him.
I
Let's rent
think
him real
that's
quick.
why there's no draft pick in this, too. And so here's what I equate this to. So stick with me here for a second. This is the basketball equivalent of my ex is dating this 6'4" dude with a 6-pack and a huge donger. And so I'm feeling pretty bad, and I'm just going to start hitting on the next chick at the bar that throws me some interest, and I'm going to take her home. And then I'm going to go to the old bar where my ex and I used to hang out, and I'm going to bring this, like, Arizona white trash chick with, like, gecko tattoos on her and shit over to the bar. Just to, you know what I mean? Because I'm strong, and just to show that I'm back at it now, and I'm doing better for myself. This feels just like, and I know Russell doesn't have any say over this, and this is a false equivalency here, but this to me is like putting makeup on a pig. You're not going to win the title because you went and got Paul George. I don't think he's going to re-sign. Maybe Oklahoma wins him over. I know they're going to do their damnedest to win him over 1 year, but...
Yeah, he's going to be getting, like, all types of gifts.
Dude.
Be having pussy just sent to his room.
When
Like, they're
you're-
going to take care of that dude.
When you're from L.A. and you played your school ball in Las Vegas and you've played the last few years in Indianapolis, you really think you're going to be happy in fucking Oklahoma City? And
No, but they're going to try, man.
no disrespect to Oklahoma City, but come on, dude. Like, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think Oklahoma City?
Country.
Timothy McVeigh. Damn it, I thought we were going to say the same thing. But I grew up in Timmy V's backyard, right where he was executed. I could throw a rock from my house and hit the electrocuted fence.
Him and my dad went
That's my dude.
to different high schools together.
That electrocuted fence, of course, not Tim McVeigh. That fence kept me very safe.
I don't think he's going to stay either, but they're going to try, man. They're going to give it everything. Like you said, they're going to give it everything they got. Like, they're going to wine and dine that dude to the no means.
69 him, you think?
Huh?
Yeah, I think they'll 69 him, too. Now, here's a follow-up question. Do you think Paul George will fuck a teammate's wife here in Oklahoma? Because this is something, and I have this stocked up for later in this episode, but Paul George has a history of being a bad teammate and a terrible leader. And while I understand he is a stat monster, there are some of his stats that are glaringly bad. For instance, his inability to hit a game-winning shot with the game on the line, despite what a Gatorade ad wants to tell you. He's 2 for forever in game-winning or tying shots in the final minute. But then he also will calls out C.J. Miles, a 41% shooter from the three-point line last year, for taking an open three in a playoff game because he should have the ball. That was his Robin, you know? Like, Paul George is a homeless man's Batman, and C.J. Miles was his, train-riding Robin. But still, like, that's your Robin, dude. That's your Scotty. You're going to be calling him out on national television in the post-game saying, oh, yeah, our best three-point shooter shouldn't have shot an open. I got to be the one that has that shot. He never makes a shot. Then he fucks his teammates' wives. Like, he's not a good teammate.
No. If he fucks anybody's wife in OKC, I hope it's your boy Stevie Adams, dude. I hope he bangs the shit out that goofy motherfucker's wife. I can't stand that, dude.
But see, people have been looking for the Sasquatch for years and can't find it, so I don't know if Paul's going to be any luckier. You know that Stevie Adams, he's got to be, he's fucking a Yeti. No, I think it's actually his mother that is part Yeti.
Even better, I hope he bones his mama.
Yeah, that's what he'll probably go Delonte West on it this time and be like, you know what, I'm going to pork someone's mom instead. I've had wives. But dude, seriously, like him dicking Roy Hibbert's wife ruined that dude's career. Like it ruined his marriage and his career. He was never the same after that.
Wow.
He's a breadstick in the paint now.
And that
he's a
dude
vanilla
used to
wafer.
Be a monster.
Yeah.
I loved Roy, bro. Roy Toy was that dude.
You remember when he had that he clinched the last time the Knicks were in the playoffs, I believe, Roy Hibbert put them out of their misery with a blocked shot in like the final seconds. Yeah, you used to be somebody, man.
Now he's just a journeyman, dude.
So I'm never getting married because Paul George is going to come over and fuck my wife.
That's how I know I could never have a lasting marriage. If Roy Hibbert couldn't keep his wife, I mean, there's no point in having one, dude. You know Roy Hibbert, like... Dude, you know his shit was like hanging past his knees.
I don't know, dude. He's 7 feet tall.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like a 3-foot penis.
Yeah.
That is Lance the Impaler. More than that. I've heard. I don't know. I've allegedly.
Heard he's literally banged the spirit out of women. Like I'm talking
the Holy Ghost.
The Holy Ghost, dude. Like he's legit pounded them until they pass out. Roy Hibbert's that dude. He's actually making a come up in the porn business, dude. Roy Hibbert has a little porno out. Like for real, dude.
Called a twat team?
No, it's called what is that? Roy and the Beanstalk. And like what they do is they have like these chicks climbing up these vines and they come visit Roy and he's like just kicking it in like this king's throne chair. It's pretty sick.
You know, he that's much better than his role on Parks and Rec. I'll give him that's a big step up from working as Aziz Ansari's assistant on Parks and Rec.
Hell yeah, dude.
So we'll maybe get back to some Paul bashing. I could do it all day. I'm that jilted ex-lover right now. So of course I can only think of the negatives and how I faked it every time. He scored 30 and had 10 rebounds and 8 assists. So I'm about to lose my side piece, CJ Miles, as well. They're the heaviest talks right now are with the Timberwolves, who are really doing something nasty. I know anybody outside of that doesn't follow the Pacers a lot or isn't maybe a fan of other teams in the Central Division probably doesn't realize that CJ Miles has become quite an asset. He's earned a raise, basically. He's going to be a sign and extend kind of guy. He's going to get a bump with the payroll constantly going up the way it does. But I guess I should have just burped into the microphone. I don't know what that's about. This whole thing is, yeah. Well, CJ is shooting 41% from 3 now. So you add that to Jimmy Butler and they got rid of Rubio. So
they did get rid of Rubio?
I think we'll fact check that. We'll come back to that. We'll okay, yeah. Sean B is going to fact check that for me. I believe he was sent to the Jazz. But so anyway, CJ Miles is going to be gone. And then they went out and signed Darren Collison. So I would have loved the signing of Darren Collison had you still had Paul George, or if you were considering keeping CJ Miles, or if you weren't appearing. It seems like they aren't committing to a rebuild here. It almost seems like they are trying their damnedest to make sure they do squeak into that 8 seed, because the East is weak. Guys, the East is weak AF. Everybody knows that. Screw me. Fuck you, Kevin. What'd you do that for? AF. If I ever say that again, it's a drink. I'm taking a drink right now for it.
You were right, Kev. Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz. You guys don't ever let me say AF again. I've already. I ran.
You can't say AF or as.
Instead of saying as fuck, I said AF, and I was like, you know what? I thought we talked about this. Yeah, no, we have to embrace the bad dinner guests of this sports show. If not, it's just some other dipshit pretending he knows about sports.
But honestly, that fits your My Boy Kev theme to me though. The AF, that's more of what my boy would do, and less of what Kevin would do. But Kev, yeah, he says AF.
But for the record though, My Boy Kev, it's just to be a pain in everyone else's ass, because if you ever want to tag me, you have to type in My Boy Kev, and to me that's just haha, joke's on you.
Can you change it to My Boy Kev AF?
Can we put that in the bet bucket? If I lose a bet, I will do it. Speaking of losing bets, it's almost like the GM of the Pacers has a bet with someone that he can make the playoffs every year in the East, because he's half committed to this rebuild. Darren Collison is an older player. He's had injuries. Again, he would have been a quality, decent point guard if you had options to work with, but it doesn't make sense. You already have an older point guard in Aaron Brooks. So what I'm suggesting is you commit, right? If this is what you're doing, no half measures. Like Mike Ehrmantraut infamously said, no half measures. If you're going to do it, do it. We got to get rid of my boy. It's the fat Al. Al Jefferson has to go. He's got to go. First of all, talk about a shell of himself. Whew.
Yeah, I think he went to Indiana to die, man.
He's on... We need to make, how I propose an idea. We need to make the all you used to be somebody team for the NBA. 3 levels, first team, second team, third team. Players still getting contracts that used to be somebody. Aaron Brooks, I think, still is somebody. He's the most valuable asset that they can move. I see him as I've used this one already. He's a panhandler's Lou Williams, which almost sounds like an insult, but he is they're not going to get Lou Williams value for Aaron Brooks, but everybody needs a good point guard, especially one that can come in and score 8 or 9 points. You can't leave Aaron Brooks open. He's hit more buzzer beaters as a Pacer in his 1 year than Paul George did in his entire career. Now, they might have been first quarter buzzer beaters. That dude has range. He has a really quick release. He's as old as the dirt. I don't know. I was going to try to tell a joke. It's off. Anyway, he's kind of old, but there's still some value there. The other person to trade would be my boy Kev Seraphin. You can find him at my boy Kev. He likes when you tweet about Pacer things. But again, I don't know that there's a lot of value there. Maybe you just keep him. Right now, it's weird. Look, I was going to read through the entire roster, but it's Summer League time, so the roster is just large AS. Large as shit. So I didn't do that. I'll spare you guys that. Plus, I barely know half the names. But let's just commit. Let's use Mighty Joe Young and some of these other scrubs out here. Georges Nyang. And I would honestly try to trade Collison before the All-Star break. I don't know why the hell you signed him. Sign him to a $20 million deal, because in the NBA is like Monopoly now. It's all just made up, or it's like whose line is it anyway? Everything's made up and salaries do not matter. It's like that Mad Ted Turner money now, dude. They're just getting they got that Alex Jones money now, dude. out here just getting Teddy Turner just licking that bum.
I have a question for you, Kevy Kip.
All right.
So, if you were the GM of the Pacers, and, well, I mean...
Which I will be someday.
How would you go about this rebuild? Like, what are some strategies you would use? Because it doesn't really seem like they have a whole lot of assets to trade. Like, are they going to strictly try to do a draft rebuild? Is that what they're thinking? Like, and then maybe just pick free agents up over here in the next few years. But, I mean, are they going to be trying to get most of their building blocks out the draft? Like, what's going on over there in Indianapolis, dude?
So, theoretically, you have to do it through the draft, right? They're a small market team. They're in Indianapolis. When was the last time anyone ever said, yo, Shawn, you trying to go to Indianapolis? Anybody but Nate. Nate lives in Bloomington, and he had to put it is the only way I'll go to Indiana this year is outside of seeing family is if I lose a bet to Nate in the bet pot. That's the only way I'm going. And I'm from there. All right? Like, I'm supposed to have nostalgia and stuff for that. Like, no, it's not a place to be. So the free agency thing is almost kind of out of it. What you can't get, they had the ability to offer, should Paul George make the All-NBA third team, because unlike the all-but-hurt team, he was not first team in the NBA this year. So they could have offered him $75 million more than the next guy. Like, that's Anna Nicole Smith right there. You know what I mean? Like, she could squat on a dude that was dying for that kind of money. Paul George is like, no, I can't stay in Indiana for that kind of money and throw a hoop at a rim. You know, he was just like, no, I'm out. I don't want to do it. I just said throw a hoop at a rim, which is actually reference to something else I'm doing later. I meant to say to throw a ball at a rim, which is, see, this is me being mean again. Like, this is that hurt lover shit I'm talking about. Like, this is just me belittling what he does, even though it's my favorite thing in the world. I've been doing it since I was 5. And all of a sudden, basketball's too little for me, even though I'm freaking talking about it on air. But that's how bad Indiana is. It's got to come through the draft. But this is why I'm upset with the way they're going about this. You can't. They're half rebuilding. They're signing Bogdanovich. They're spending $20 million on Darren Collison, basically a backup point guard. They're trading Miles Turner. They're trading C.J. Miles, which now that'll be a lot easier. Boy, I tell you, that got confusing. C.J. Miles Turner. It's like, shit. Both of them hit more big shots than Paul George.
So is Miles Turner who they're trying to build around?
He's got to be. I mean, he is he's like a potential Kevin Garnett if Kevin Garnett had stepped out to the three-point line earlier in his career. Kevin Garnett had that Tracy McGrady mid-range game. You know how McGrady used to always take one step in from the three-point line and shoot, where everyone would tell you is the worst place to shoot on the basketball court? Well, he's like, well, nobody else does it. Nobody's going to expect me to do it. And then he just did that for a long time. Made good money doing it. Whereas Miles Turner has stepped out. He's also kind of a sloppy Kevin Durant without the handles, because he's another 6'10", 6'11" guy from Texas. But he actually, where I say he's closer to Garnett, is he actually plays some defense, gets some big blocks. He's had some huge blocks for them they haven't played in a really big game, I guess, since he's been there, except for getting swept by the Cavs. But they got to be rebuilding about him, and I guess TJ Leaf. But that guy reminds me of, maybe it's because his name sounds like Ryan Leaf, but also he looks like Tyler Hansborough, and I just don't feel good about it. And I'm gonna list some names for you real quick: Austin Crozier, Primo Brezic, Tyler Hansborough. Oh, there's more. I'm losing them now. Anything ring a bell?
Is this the members of Nickelback? I couldn't see it out there for a second.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. This is my favorite band. It's my favorite band called Former Pacers First Round Picks. These are all times that they have tried to draft that
stud.
That not even. They always seem to go for this terrible. It's like they were addicted to trying to draft the next Larry Bird. They wanted a 6'8" to 6'10" white dude that could shoot the three and play that stretch four, and it has failed. Not even always be the stretch four. But you know what I'm saying? They always pick that gym rat. They always draft that big guy who's not athletic, but supposedly has a good game. And no, I'm a big skeptic on this. I think this rebuild is going to flop. But if it were me, I guess to answer your original question, you got to trade the assets that you have. So try to get a draft pick for Aaron Brooks, because the only way, I don't think Cleveland is the best place in the world, right? Before LeBron was there, who was ever going to Cleveland outside of Shawn Kemp and he might have just gone there for some kind of like restaurant endorsement. At that point, they might have been like, hey, yo, you got lifetime supply of Sizzler if you come here. Shawn Kemp, at the point of his Cleveland career, he was eating more steaks than he was averaging rebounds per game. So it was just bad. But LeBron comes, and they had a good. Kyrie Irving was. They did it the natural way that time, right? They got lucky. They got Kyrie. LeBron decided to come back. They traded for Kevin Love. No big free agent has ever gone to Cleveland. Before Kevin Durant is the only big free agent to go to Golden State, right? So and that's why the free agency thing, there's a saying in the NFL that's like, whoever wins the offseason never wins the Super Bowl. Or whoever wins the offseason never wins the regular season, because you don't build a good team and it's not as true in the NBA because there's only 15 players, but I don't think you can build a good team. The Heat are one of the only times that it's been done through free agency. Normally it's done through trades in the draft. So I think that's how you're going to do it. You're going to have to put together a team that's worth dealing with being in that small market and being overshadowed and maybe not getting the endorsement money. But the one good thing Paul George did for these guys, he showed them you can get endorsement money in Indiana. Gatorade contracts on the cover of 2K17. He's got a Nike deal. So you can go out there and get it. I'd be willing to deal, and I'd be getting my Danny Ainge on, dude. I'd be trading things for first-round picks that are like 3 years away because the other GMs don't view them as valuable. But I know I'm sending you trash. That's what he did. He was like, oh, yeah, 8 first-round picks for a 40-year-old Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce with one leg. You got it, Nets. Step right up. Oh, what's that, LeBron? You want to come back to Cleveland? Here, Cavs, give me your extra cap space. I'll take your trash, because fuck you, Pat Riley. That's an interesting thing we should talk about someday, Sean. That's an episode on its own. The Danny Ainge, Pat Riley rivalry. It is fun.
Oh, yeah, dude.
The whole Ray Allen thing.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, dude. So that about wraps it up for me with this thing. I've got it off my chest now, so it's time to move on to the next stage of my Pacer depression. You can find us at Bandwagon BDG or follow us on Facebook, Off the Bandwagon. Of course, we are on the Bad Dinner Guest Network, so you can also find all of our episodes there. When we go as a group, we go live. That felt sexual. Anyway, guys, I'm Kev. You can find me on Twitter at MyBoyKev. I hope you have a good night. I love you.